I'm very happy to be here and to make this presentation about care ethics and its potential contribution to business education. First of all, I would like to talk a bit about what is ethic of care. First, I would say that the mainstream idea about moral development was developed by Kohlberg in the 70s and 80s, and this is the idea that the more you are based on principles and rationality, the more you are developed in an ethical perspective. So morality is about rationality, is about moral reasoning, and this framework is the mainstream framework in the business ethics area still today, I think. And so in the teaching perspective, most of the time courses are about what are the principles to be used to make a decision, and make a decision in the context of moral dilemmas. So it's quite often teachers give to students moral dilemmas. For instance, the tramway dilemma or Heinz dilemma. And so the question is how to decide according which principle. But Carol Gilligan, who was a student of Laurence Kohlberg, made quite a strong criticism of Kohlberg. And what about women? So this is the Woman Day, so that's great because care ethics is a feminist theory. So I'm very happy to be here today to...
Nice of you to notice.
Wait for tomorrow.
Celebrate you tomorrow.
So what about women? Actually, in the Kohlberg's studies, there were only men that were interviewed. So Gilligan said it's a flaw in the methodology, and she used the same methodology than Kohlberg, but with women. And what she found is that, according to her, in her seminal book, A Different Voice, women have not the same moral orientation that men. And to quote her, she says in The Different Voice, women tend to conceptualize moral questions as problems of care involving empathy and compassion, while men conceptualize them as problems of rights. So the different voice of feminine morality is one of relationships and one of sensitivity, moral sensitivity. In a way, it is going back to what Hume and Adam Smith were saying in the 8th century, which is a theory of moral sentiments. That is, sentiments and passions are before rationality. So, ethic of care is now considered in the literature as a feminist alternative to ethic of justice. And this paper is about what I call educare, that is education to care ethics. What about educare as an alternative to principle-based business ethics education? I don't know how to put off this. Okay. So, a bit more about what would be what is care ethics and what would be the learning goals of an educare. I'm based on the works of a philosopher who is John Tronto. So Tronto says there are 4 stages to care ethics, and so for me it will be 4 learning goals. First stage is caring about. So that's what I was telling before. There is no care ethic if there is no sensitivity to other people's difficulties. Actually, it is very close to empathy, and the recent scientific findings about the fact that there are profound and very strong empathic mechanisms in human beings. I don't know if you read the book of Jeremy Rifkin, Empathic Civilization, but it's really about this dimension of human being. So this is the start of care ethics, but it's not enough for Tronto. You may be sensitive to a problem and not feel responsible for this problem. You may feel you cannot do anything about this problem. Tronto gives an example about the hunger in Africa. You can be empathic about people that are dying from hunger, but you can think that you cannot do anything because of corruption, for instance. So you can be sensitive but not feel responsible. Care ethics is about being both empathic and responsible. And it is as well about practice. And I think that the most, maybe the strongest input of care ethics is the hybrid characteristic of care ethics, that is disposition, psychological disposition, and as well practice. Practice that should goes to responsiveness and what she calls care receiving. That is, care is not always good to do. Sometimes you should not care. And so you should ask, did the help I provide was helpful? I mean, was it efficient? So it's not enough to give care. You should ask what the people that has been helped think about this care. Okay? So the idea is of Educare would be to develop to business students the 4 dimensions of care ethics. What are the assumptions behind this? First, and what are the consequences in the learning process? First, we are facing an embodied morality, contextual, not only cognitive, but as well affective. So it means that you should go through experience. You cannot be only in theory. So it is a plea, more or less, I think, for experiential learning. This is the first point. Second point is that care ethics is rooted in what Cécile Renoir calls relational anthropology. It means that you cannot be put away from other people. We are I depend on other people, and other people depend on me. So if I want to learn, I cannot learn alone. I have to learn with other people or within a context. Gender neutrality. I am a man, so I'm talking about care ethics. And I don't say if women are more caring. Actually, I don't know, maybe. But what I propose is that in the teaching process, we don't assume that women are more caring than men, because otherwise, and some scholars say this, it would say that we would provide care ethics for Educare, in business education, to go for women and not for men. And so I don't think this is a good idea. Maybe the better idea or more interesting idea would be that there is a feminine part in in everybody, including men. So I will state on the gender neutrality. One very important point for me is that care ethics is not normative. It means that you cannot say to the people, you should care. And this is in literature about ethics called supererogative, which means that care is good to do, but it's not bad not to do. Why is that? Because, first of all, if you are in a relationship, you cannot say if it's more important to care for others or care for yourself. Both are important. So you cannot say, in a normative way, you should care for others. The second reason for this supererogative characteristic is that care is contextual, embodied, so it depends on context. So you cannot say with a principle, normative principle, that you should do this and not this. And the last one is the idea that we should be in indirect teaching. Indirect teaching is the idea that because it's a disposition, it cannot be taught as a knowledge. And Kierkegaard, the philosopher Kierkegaard, who wrote about communication and ethical communication, said that it's possible. He says that ethics is about power, science is about knowledge. And he says it's possible to force science into the head of a man, but whenever it is a question of power, we have to draw it out. So you cannot put in someone ethics. This is the people that has to make it outside. So what is the learning strategy for Educare that I propose? Theoretically, I would propose that educare is not about virtues or skills. That is, skill, it's something that you master for yourself, independently of other people, as well as virtues. It's more about, I think, capability. Capability in the sense of word, Sen, Amartya Sen, which is actually a freedom. A freedom to choose your lifestyle between various lifestyles. So the idea is that because it is not normative, if you educate business students to care, it's not for them to become caring, but it's for them to become free of caring or not. And I'm not sure that in the business context we feel free to care. We will see later, but I'm not sure, including in the business school. So it's kind of performative and not normative framework, which means that my assumption is that if you only say to students that you are allowed to care, some are going to care, some are going not, but at least you are free to care in the business context. Practically, educare could be implemented through service learning, that is through experiential learning, because I told earlier that it should go through experience. And Nell Noddings, who is one of the authors about care, says that to develop care, you have to go through caregiving opportunities. So service learning, which comes from the United States, it's quite big actually in the US. It's the idea that you give the opportunities for people, for students, to do some community service, so to do caregiving activities, and through those caregiving activities you can develop your care ethics. So I was presenting the educare at a broad sense. Now, why should we apply educare to business education? It's not so easy, and you have in a very recent book about applying, the title is Applying Care Ethics to Business. In the introduction of the book, there is this question, I think this is the very strong question, is that is care not a kind of slave morality? That is, if you're caring, in a sense, you're a loser. And the winners, they don't care about others. We are in a very strong competitive world, so people that are the most successful are not the nice guys. I mean, they are brutal. I mean, they are to win. They don't have to care about other people. So, I mean, the question is really important. Is it should we apply care to business? I mean, I think that we could and we should for many reasons, and in the business education context for a certain number of reasons. First of all, business education, we know that it is criticized because of what Nussbaum has called for-profit education. I go fast. And I will switch to the last point, which is criticism of business education is one dimension is about ethics. Many courses in business in society, and including business ethics in the business schools, and even in the top business school, and so, majority of top business schools are requiring business and society courses. Growing interest of students for business and society issues. This is the net impact studies that show this, but no consensus on the legitimacy of business ethics education. First of all, we don't know if it's effective. I'm sorry about this, but it's not me that's saying it. We are not quite sure that there are long-lasting effects of business ethics courses on action, moral actions. Second one, people are saying that you should be ethical because it's good for business. Okay, I'm not quite sure it's true. I think that there are long-lasting companies with big profit that are not ethical. And Fund Paris shows very well that if you use ethics as a technique of management, you're killing ethics, because ethics is not about instrumental value, but it's about normative value. And the problem of normative value is that students themselves business students themselves don't value ethics. One proof of this is that Mackem and Trevino did studies about business students, law students, medicine students, and about cheating. Guess who is cheating the most? Business students.
Surprise.
Surprise. Because they are instrumental. They want to success. I think that Educare provides a new way of addressing those issues. First of all, many studies show that service learning is very effective. So the question, and this is my research I'm doing, is service learning effective on developing care ethics? But again, service learning has proved to be quite effective in teaching strategy. And the second point is that supererogative characterization of care ethics is a way to go out of this context of either instrumental or normative. It's a question of freedom. It's not a question of instrumental or normativity. So two ways, and I'm going fast, I'm sorry, is the microethics is the way, the idea that you can give with care ethics and Educare, you can give the right to business students to give a social purpose to their business career. Mohamed Yunus was in Paris yesterday, so there was a conference about social business, and he was saying something that I think it's quite true in this context. He says, people, they have one dimension, it's self-interest, it's making profit. It's one dimension of the human being, but there are other dimensions of human beings. One is empathic, and so we can, as a human being, choose to be for profit, but we can choose to be social business. So, and he doesn't say that social business is normatively better than business, as usual. He just says that we should have the freedom to choose between both purposes. So this is from a macroethical point of view. Microethics is the right to be caring at work. All the studies show that nice people, agreeable people earn less money. All the studies are showing this. But and nice people are perceived as less competent than brutal people, but perceived. They are not less competent. All the studies show this. So we should not make a correlation in our perception between being caring, being agreeable, being nice, and being competent. We should be free to be both caring and skillful. And I will finish in saying that in ESSEC, we have a program which is called Pourquoi pas moi, PQPM. It's a voluntary mentoring program for disadvantaged students that are very close to ESSEC here. And I studied the activities, and clearly it's about caregiving activity. And my assumption, but this is the research, is to see and to see if those students, by this kind of service learning program, are developing care ethics. Thank you very much.